power of
8th of
terror
January
and
at
the
about
threat
midnight.
of terror. What do you make of the way people have reacted to these things?
Well, first of all, of course, all of our thoughts are with all of the victims and their families in this absolutely tragic situation that they are currently having to face. As far as reactions are concerned, I'm very pleased to be able to see that rather than actually divide on this, Europeans right across Europe, whether it's in France, in Germany, Italy, Spain, and the United Kingdom, have decided to come together and give a sign of unity.
You said that for once, majority Muslim reactions are penetrating the media walls. Tell us more of what you mean by that.
For many years now, there has been a real feeling among Muslim people that their view about such things simply doesn't get out into the wider media. For far too long, it has been those that have been willing to give expressions of extremism that have been given a majority of the airtime, sometimes to the absolute exclusion to the vast majority of Muslims who, in fact, are contributing members of European and British society. They are people who are building on the very core fabric that gels us all together. But here you have a clear demonstration of a terrorist attack that's been carried out in France, but yet you see extremist politicians over the last 24 hours or so, people like Marine Le Pen, Deep Wilders, Nigel Farage, and trying to say that this is down to immigration, this is down to the diversity of Europe, and that simply is not the case. And all of their representations are simply adding to the sentiments that are being expressed in a very anti-Islamic way on the streets of some cities in Germany, and indeed there has been attacks on mosques taking place in Sweden. So this is actually a very dangerous time, and this is a time for us to stand as one and become united. And the European people have chosen that as our direction, rather than to divide in the way that some extremists would want us to.
How do you sustain that constructive debate, given that right now people are shocked, they are emotional, they are, of course, sympathetic to the loss of life here? As you get further down the road into political debate and the political culture, how do you sustain that sense of openness you're talking about?
Well, it's absolutely essential that we don't lose sight of the fact that, in a very sad way, actually, this is not the first time that we have suffered such an atrocity. I remember very clearly when the London underground bombings took place. Immediately after that, we had a coming together throughout the United Kingdom, and I see exactly that happening in France today. And it is important that those voices on the extremes that are trying to identify the Islamic communities of Europe as being responsible for this, or trying to say that it's down to multiculturalism, as Nigel Farage did in the United Kingdom, or trying to say that this is down to immigration, as once again Deep Wilders and Nigel Farage and Marine Le Pen have done. They need to be recognising the fact that actually the perpetrators who we are seeking at this moment in time are French-born and raised in France. And therefore it is essential that all of us come together and actually deal with this in terms of the reality rather than the poison that is being spouted by the extremists. And indeed, that is the very reaction that those extremists that carried out this atrocity want Europeans to go down, and we refuse to do that.
One of the realities that you're talking about is that there will be other young men like these two brothers who are either would-be jihadis or may have returned from Syria or Iraq and reject what France, the UK, other Western societies stand for. What should be done differently to tackle them, the threat that they pose?
Well, there's a number of measures that need to be put in place, and we did today from European Union level make an announcement that we will come forward very quickly with a new set of proposals as to how we can better ensure that our member states are working much more closely together on sharing intelligence that we have. And indeed, we do have a very real problem of large numbers of European citizens who are making their way to places like Syria, like Iraq,
Sajjad Karim, thank you very much for joining us
Thank you.
on BBC News. Thank you. Well, let's speak now to Francois Heisburg, who's a security specialist and special advisor at the Paris-based Foundation for Strategic Research. We were just talking there, Mr. Heisburg, about the need to monitor those who might try to commit future attacks of this kind. How strong do you think the European system of surveillance is in general? Do you see it changing?
Well, most security services, indeed all security services and intelligence agencies are national. They obviously cooperate and coordinate with each other at the European level and more globally, but you don't have such a thing as a European security service, and I'm not sure that there will be very much of a constituency in London to build one. In the case of France, the two people who are considered as the perpetrators of the massacre yesterday were known. They had been spotted. The system in that sense actually did work. What clearly did not work was the level of ulterior surveillance which was necessary to keep tabs on them and to stop them when they went.
So this is a failure of French security. So this is a failure of French security.
This is a failure of security. I don't know for the moment whether it is failure of French security or whether there's an international element involved, because of course these guys were moving around. One of them had been in jail for 3 years at the end of the last decade because he had been organizing jihadi tourism from France to Iraq. So we are very much in the sort of situation which was described by your previous guest, that is young men going over to the Middle East and possibly coming back with the arts that they learned over there. That means, of course, that failure in intelligence or surveillance may not necessarily be only national, it may be multinational.
What has struck you most about the facts we've been learning about the two suspects, these brothers?
They are indeed French-born, of North African Algerian stock. We don't know for which organization they consider that they owe allegiance. This is one of the reasons why I think it is very important indeed that we managed to catch these two alleged perpetrators and get them to speak up.
I suppose we don't know whether they've been directed from outside or not, even, do we?
Well, we don't know whether they've been directed, and we don't know whether they themselves have a particular allegiance to this or that organization. It's an important point because, as you know, there is a competition, a ferocious competition, a dangerous one, between Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and other jihadi groups for the control of what one could call the market for jihadi terrorism. We see this every day in Syria, the fighting between the various jihadi organizations themselves. There may be a phenomenon of emulation between Daesh and Al-Qaeda as to who can do the actual worst. And therefore it is very important to understand where these young men come from in ideological terms, and whether or not they were under any form of control.
Francois Heisburg, good to speak to you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's just remind you of the latest developments in the police manhunt for the prime suspects in the Charlie Hebdo attack. A major security operation is underway northeast of Paris, where 2 men believed to be the suspects who attacked the satirical magazine on Wednesday have been spotted. Now, Longchamp is a small village about 90 kilometers from Paris. It has been sealed off by armed police, and it's believed that the suspects may be on foot. Also, at this moment, there are live gatherings. You're looking at the Place de la République in Paris. We'll leave you with those pictures of people still holding vigil, still saying, "Je suis Charlie," standing with Charlie Hebdo. I'm Philippa Thomas. Thanks for watching BBC News.
Once again, time to be updated you on how we see things developing across South Asia for the next couple of days. Now, for the most part, it is about he?